modeled it to be the palms.
Yep.
And then I commenced to earn my money legally. Well, you know something, I went to Father Baudet one time. We had the best Catholic priest, or man, I would say any kind of a man, that there was in Father Baudet. I like the man we have here now, the Church of Atroba. But Father Baudet was something else. I went to him and I said, Father, of course I don't know if you're Catholic or not.
Episcopalian.
Episcopalian.
Almost. That's close. Pretty close. Good company there.
It doesn't make any difference to me what religion you are, as long as you believe in what you think is right. But anyway, I went to Father and I said, Father, I've got a question to ask you. And he says, what is it, Harry? So I said, I've been making moonshine, and is it sinful to be making moonshine? He said, Harry, it's not sinful, it's unlawful.
That's beautiful. That's great. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. So anyway, we didn't have no problems after that. So you could confess to him if you wanted to, or you didn't have to confess to him. As long as it wasn't sinful, you didn't have to confess. Well, I thought so much of that man. I always used to say, you're supposed to honor your father. He's the man, regardless of how he treats you, he's your superior. And I always used to say, if I had to make a choosing between Father Baudet and my dad, it would be Father Baudet.
That's a nice compliment, though.
No, he was a nice man. I went to his funeral. There was it Steve and Lil, and Lynn and Margaret. I'm fun to tell that.
Okay, it's on the agenda. Great. Some more tape on.
It was going one of the raids.
Yeah,
You
I think that was
ready for that?
That is not yet, is it? No.
Going?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
We were
fine.
just wondering if it was.
Oh, yes, it's on. It's on
Okay,
again.
it's on here.
Yeah.
In one of the raids, did I complete the raid that...
There were 9 of them on this one
9
raid,
of them.
34.
And then they left you. Then I came back, then after coming down from the creamery and coming back up to the house, I came to Ben's front door, and he lived up on Main Street there, you remember? That was a house that Gus File remodeled.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And Ben and Angela were living there then. So I rapped on the door, and he says, don't tell me. He knew right, he was a sharp cookie, I'll tell you. And so he could look out the back door, and there they was. He said, what did you do? Well, I said, I run. And they didn't catch you? No. So he said, well, we'll see what happens. So when it got daylight, and I went, then I got courage to go over, just like I'm going to be look around and see what the heck was going on. And while I was there looking around, I could see that they had smashed everything. And did I forget what I was going to say? The computer doesn't put out all the time.
Give it a rest.
It doesn't put out all the time. But he said, what did they do? And I said, well, I guess they smashed everything. Is the car still there? I had a car. But I had a car there that wasn't worth much, and just to get by. So he said, what are you going to do? Well, I said, I'm going to get the car out of there and move it into another place so I can use again. They didn't do no damage to the car, but they sure fixed the barrels and the still. We had a still that I would tell you the still was probably about 6 feet long and about 4 feet high, and probably about 2.5 feet wide. Well, you could most of the time, if you had a good soldering man, you could fix up them big gashes that they would put in there. Well, we didn't do anything then for quite some time. But one of the times then when the feds came back to town, we had somebody storing booze here. And do you care if I mention the name of the person?
No, you go ahead.
Fred Bellils. They had...
Uncle Fred.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben and Uncle Fred.
Yeah, you know, I really... Your relative here.
Look at this relative.
Here.
So anyways, they had stored, I don't know who stored the booze in there, but they had filled the basement full of, we had lived in there in 1933, didn't we?
Yeah.
And they had stored the basement full of booze. So the feds came there with a warrant. Most of the time, I don't know if they came with a warrant. They never would catch anybody most of the time anyway. So when they came there, your aunt, yeah.
Yes.
She says, what are you going to do? They was down in the basement. They were going to bust all these jugs down in the basement and let it run on the floor. She said, listen here. She says, you aren't going to be dumping this stuff all in the basement. It came right in through that window right over there, and she says, it's going out there. She made them haul it out. So anyway, out in back of the house there, and between Archie's and well, Ben's place wasn't there then.
No.
Frenchy Foyer's feed mill was over on the south side, and this house, that belonged to Archie. The house that Ag was in, that old house.
Uh-huh.
The house is still here in town. It's been moved four or five times. So anyway, they started dumping this good moonshine into this hollow there, and geez, we got to be a lake of moonshine there. And you know Lloyd Harvey.
Yeah.
Oh, he probably was laying right in it.
Well, he went and got a tin cup. He started dipping it out and drinking it like water.
Oh, the dogs got at it.
I guess there was some dogs that got into
Got
it
so
too.
drunk.
Well, everybody was having the circus there. They all started pitching in. Well, they dumped all of the booze there, and I think they had like 1,800 gallons of moonshine.
That's a lot of booze.
Well, yes. I had a basement full. So anyway, they left in that time. I think there was a still knocked off at that time. And Herman Bellil, that you didn't know or don't remember. See, you would be in 32 or that's around 32 at that time.
I was born in 29. See.
29. See, you're only 3 years old.
Yeah.
So after they had knocked all this booze off, they went out here to where Willie Bellil is. And there was a fellow by the name Napoleon Bellil.
I recognize the name.
Yeah.
Napoleon. And so there used to be an old widower that lived alongside. What was his name? Stay with your mother and Nate there. I suppose we probably want to think of his name. But anyway, he used to come over and stir the barrels for me once a day. When I was there was 60 barrels. And he would stir the barrels, and I would visit with him. And I said to him, I said, used to call him Napoleon Bellil. Was he a pretty good farmer? And he talked kind of broken. He says, Polly, a farmer? He said, good a farmer as I'm a druggist. So, anyway, that one there, they knocked it all off and smashed everything. And Herman Bellil went out there and he hooked it on the back of his Model A. And he drug it all through town while the fence was here. Yeah. Dragged it all the way into town.
You say, so many barrels. This was all mash?
Yes.
What did you heat? How would it do it?
How would it work?
From one to the other, or?
No, they were all single barrels.
They're all single.
And you tried to set the mash at a certain temperature. You couldn't make it work to the point where it would kind of overheat, because then it would kill the yeast.
Oh, yeah.
You had to keep it at a certain temperature, and that was quite a thing, because we weren't scientific with this. Just set it and then let it work itself out. And boy, when they were working, some fellas got so that they could work it in big vats, about six barrels at a time. But in our day, it was only by the barrels. And you had to keep it at a certain temperature in order to get the full value of that sugar that was in that barrel.
My dad used to say that the first moonshine you would get was 180 proof. He said that was the good stuff. He said that he always kept a jug of that.
I never think that it ever got that strong.
Well, I could have been, it's been a long time ago, I could have.
Maybe it did, but I used to think about 135.
That's probably what it was.
I used to think about 135, and I don't remember if our barometers or thermometers or whatever they called them would read that high.
Anyway, was that the best, that first? Oh yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Because he used to he was making it down at the barn. Oh, I can remember that. Pardon?
I said, that would raise the hair on your neck.
And he always kept a jug of that. Well, of course, Punkia. Jerry Punkia, of course, lived right across the field.
Yes.
And so he'd come, how bowlegged Jerry was.
Yeah.
He'd climb the fence and he'd come down to see my dad down the barn. I was just a little guy. And so my dad, of course, would get out the jug and Jerry'd have a few too many. And he'd go home, he'd never could get over that fence. And Angelina would be so mad at my father.
Yeah.
Oh. She blamed him for this.
It was your father's fault.
Yeah.
He didn't hold him and pour it down like he was a jug.
Yeah.
You had to tell about Mrs. Mettergy. She lived up there where the tire thing is.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
yeah, Eugene Menergy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Constantly lived with him, I think, or
Yeah. Well, anyway, they had was storing foods out there, weren't they?
They were selling. I don't know if that Marigine was making any booze, but she was selling it. She was in kind of good with the feds. She was. She had a little guy there, that last little one they had. He was smoking cigars at 5 years old.
Good grief.
Yes.
one of her kids, you mean?
Yes.
Well, Kenny Mettergine was one of the younger ones.
Kenny was one of the younger ones, and then there was that last one that lost his, the first one that lost his leg. He's still alive, ain't he?
I don't know.
I think a guy told me the other day. He says, I had some doggone good booze. And he said, that wasn't Tom. Joe.
Oh, Joe Mettergine.
Do you remember Joe?
Yep.
Yeah. It was
Yep,
Joe.
that's right.
Well, she had about 6 boys, I think it was. I don't know about the girls.
They're all tough.
Oh, yeah, they were really something. Yeah.
But tell them about when the feds were coming, and they knew they were coming, so they curb crawling the
No, that's another lady. That's another lady. I wanted to tell you that one. Have you got something there
No.
that you got written down?
I don't.
No,
I thought it was Mrs. Meadows. She
No.
said they put her in the bed with a
that's a
jug.
fellow that we're having lunch with every once in a while. His mother. Ed Levancher. The Levantures were living up above County Road H up there. I did want to tell that one. Anyway, the feds were come into town, and it was known by some of the people. Some of the people were smarter than others, and I think the guys was making moonshine was the dumb ones.
Yeah, that's right.
But they was the best cooks.
Oh, that's great.
So anyway, they were coming out there, and so they drove in the yard with two cars. So he says, Ma, he says, the feds are here. Everybody knew the feds by their cars. And they had a Ford, and at that time, and 33 Ford, and I don't remember what that Hudson was, but them Hudsons at that time looked like a big locomotive with a cracker box on top of it. They had a small body for some reason or other. I don't know why. My dad had one of them. Well, anyway, he says, Ma grabbed the jug. He said they were just selling out of the jug and by the bottle. He says, grab the jug and go in the bedroom. Take the jug with you into the bed. So she did. She went in the bedroom and laid down. We better answer that one. Maybe it's cake.
Where was he when we...
Oh, we were talking about getting into the lady that got in the bed, jugs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, this was Mr. and Mrs. John Levancher. So she went into the bedroom with the jug. She took the jug along with her, and the Fed came to the door and rapped on the door. And so John went to the door and he said, we're the federal agents, and we've heard that you have been selling some booze here. No, he said, I'm not selling any right now. He says, can we come in the house and look? It was Joe Alberts. And he said, yes, but he said, I make one request from you. He says, my wife is expecting me. My wife is expecting, and he says, any time, he said. So he said, you can go and look all over the house, but the bedroom. So they did. They searched all over the house where they thought they would find some booze, and they wasn't satisfied. So when he got all through searching, Joe said, would you mind if I would look in the door? No, he said, you go ahead. Look in the door if you want, but don't go in and disturb her. No, I won't. So he went over there. He looked in the door, and she was in the bed there with the door.
I thought that was a that's great.
And they left, and that was it. I'm always we associate with the Levantures, and they're friends with the Patricks out there. The Patricks bought the one of the Langer boys' place right across the road from. You know where Ed lives, don't you?
Yeah.
Ed Levancher. Well, this place was across the road. So anyway, I haven't had the courage yet to.
Oh, no.
Huh? Why?
Anything from them.
Why?
Well, thanks.
Well, you know, this doesn't hurt. It's just like tonight we would have a lunch at the Oasis down here at Stillwater. So there, a fella came in and said at the counter and to eat. So I took a look at him, and geez, I thought I recognized him. So I said to Grace, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to find out if he's a man that's around there, or if it's a man I think it is. So when I went out, I said, I thought I knew you. But I find out that I don't. But there's nothing wrong with us getting acquainted, is there? So he says, no, that isn't. I like that. He says, my name is Captain...
I don't even know now.
See, today I lose it. Captain so-and-so, and I've been, I'm just here, just going through. We're having a boat fixed. We've got our boats down at Prescott. So he was the captain of one of the boats. And I wanted to remember that name. But try as I can today, it's hard. It's just hard to... I keep practicing on it all the time. You have to work on it all the time. You have to keep the old mind going in order to hang on. Because what? I'll tell you.
You'll get up from the table and come in and take a little snooze, and then you'll wake up. Did we have supper yet?
She's exaggerating.
I'm not exaggerating. Well, I tell you, my memory isn't as good as it used to be either, that's for sure.
I find out that there's more young people today that are losing their minds, or losing their
Memory.
Yeah, memory. Boy, it's a shame. I just can't hardly believe it. Boy, and I'll tell you, that old computer put a lot of it up there.
Could you just go through briefly the process of making moonshine? We've touched on it throughout the whole tape, but could you take us on a step-by-step
On how to make it?
on how to make moonshine?
No, I don't want you to get started.
No, I won't make it. I won't give it. If I do try, I won't give your name.
I don't know.
Harry, a week before Harris's father had his stroke, he was going to teach Harris how to make moonshine.
He's going to set me up with the Dieltz.
Yes. And they had come up that night. We had been out to Star Prairie out to see Harris's sister. And we got on X and we saw his mother and dad coming across, coming down on 35, and they had come up to see it that night, and he was going to tell Harris what he had to get to make a batch, and then the next week he had the stroke.
I suppose you couldn't tell then.
No,
after that,
not after, because
Your dad was Harris. Your dad was one of the finest men there was around here. You know that?
Well, thank you.
I think you know that very well. He was one of the finest men. I thought as much of him as I did with my folks, or as much as I did Father Baudet. I did. I always did. And I always liked your family. I think you know that.
Oh, yes, because I would have been in trouble a couple of times.
He's told me all about how you helped him out here.
That's true. Well, I didn't know that. Every once in a while somebody comes up to me. They know me as a tough police officer. I believed by the book, even though I didn't make moonshine. I believed in making the best moonshine there was. And, but I believed in what I did. I know fellas since that time they're dead now too, and they'd say, you were such a strict police officer. He said, was you did you do everything like it should have been done? I said, I think so. I did my police work. Well, didn't you ever do anything wrong? Well, I said, you might say I did something wrong, but I don't think there was nothing wrong in it. There's nobody that could prove what I had done. They didn't catch me. Yes, I'll give you the ingredients. I'll give it to you by the barrel, by a 50-gallon barrel. Now, 50-gallon barrel, if you was to make that into moonshine, That would be about 45 gallons of water. Today they would use, I suppose that they would use either beet sugar or cane sugar. Cane sugar was best. It was the most refined sugar. And then you would put in about 40 pounds of sugar. You could add a little bit more if you wanted to, one way or the other. And then you would fill it up with water to about, so high from the top.
About a foot and a half from the top to
About a foot, maybe. That would give you the amount of water in a 50-gallon barrel. That would be a wood barrel. I don't know if you could make that in a seal barrel. I don't know if that would work out or not. We never use seal barrels.
Okay, so you put the 40 pounds of sugar in the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
You've added water to about a foot from the top.
Yes.
Okay.
And then 4 pounds of cake yeast. That would be as soft. Just like a pound of butter. It was like. You put 4 pounds of that in there. And we used to just put the crack corn in there just for flavor, I think, and then to take care of the yeast, the residue that would be left after it had worked. I think that was all it was for. And that was it.
Did you heat it then?
No. He would do its own heat work.
Okay.
Oh.
It would work. You had to stir it every once in a while until you got your...
Oh, this was making the mash.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, how many days did that take?
That took 5 days.
You stirred once a day.
Yes, once a day. Then that would finally, when you first put this yeast in there, the effervescence or whatever you want to call it, that would come up off in that working, why it would just, I'll tell you, it'd clear your sinus.
Yes, I suppose like yeast does when you make bread. Yeah.
And you could go accordingly, to that if you wanted to. Then you would divide your ingredients down the way you want to. See, there would be, for the 40 pounds or 50 pounds of sugar, you could cut it down to, what would that be? That would be 8 gallons of water. Would that be right now? To each pound?
For each pound?
Not each pound.
For each 10 pounds?
Yes.
For each pound?
Yeah. There would be about 10
gallons of water.
Yeah, 10 gallons to
4 pounds of yeast.
Yes.
It'd be 10 pounds to what? If you had a 50-gallon tank, it'd be 10 pounds to a gallon and 1 pound of yeast to a gallon.
Yes. 1 pound.
Yeah.
1 pound would work really good. Wouldn't make any difference if you did. The only thing is that when you would work it out that way is that it doesn't get hot. You got to try to put that yeast so it would work out kind of cool like.
It'd kill it, I suppose, if it got too hot. Yeah.
Yes, it would kill the yeast. What would you call it?
Well, the gas that comes out
Fermenting. If you got it too hot, it would
When you say too hot, you mean not from fire now, you're talking about
just heat.
Just heat from the
Just heat.
ingredients.
from the heat from the ingredients, okay.
Yes.
Fermenting.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you felt that it was getting too warm when it was working, you would just cool it off by putting a little ice or add water. Ice would be the best, of course. Not very much ice, but just cool it off. Not very much ice, but just cool it off. We had gotten it sometimes you would get, we had one winter there when we were making it in we couldn't work it out. We had Budweiser. The sugar. Budweiser was putting out sugar at that time, that corn sugar at that time. And there was another sugar company. There was 2 or 3 others, but the ones that I remember the most were Clinton. Clinton was a good churn. But you know, they're using corn syrup now for sweetening of your pops. And so a person could buy that syrup by the gallon, and I would imagine that you could get that very cheap. You couldn't get the corn sugar anymore. You could get cane.
Who's in the blue now?
Now, after it had worked and 5 days were over, then what would you do?
It would become dormant.
Oh.
It would there was no more bubbles there, and you knew then it was ready.
Then what would you do with it?
Then you put it in the cooker. And you had to have
That's where the fire came.
Huh?
That's when the gas, I mean, that's when the heat.
Yes. You could use any, you could like a kitchen stove, heater, or it just depends on how big it,
You talked about like 4 burners at one time, and then you went to 2 burners or
Yes.
larger.
well, 8 burners.
8 burners, that's right.
Eight burners, but we had probably about 250 gallons of mash in there.
Okay,
And you'd have to bring it to a boil, and when you got it to boil, then it went up into the column,
Get them coils, didn't you?
the coils. And, we had little larger ones than most of them. I think an inch to start with, inch coil. And I don't know how many rounds of coil we had in there. And by the time it got down to the bottom, we had cold water, and our cold water always was about 60 degrees in the coil. And that would, of course, knock the steam down, and it would would run a pretty good stream. It would run a stream like that in that amount.
So, can I just interrupt? When you say the coils, now you'd have this vat. The vat would be covered.
This wasn't, the coil wasn't in the vat. We made a special tank to hold the water. And we tried to keep that water in that tank always 60 degrees. Well, it would be the same as well water. Well water is generally about that degree.
15, 60 degrees.
Yes. And that's what we use. And if you were boiling pretty hard, sometimes that water would get pretty warm down. But you don't let it get to the point where it's going to get warm, because you'll lose the flavor of your liquor.
All right, now I'm just a little confused. Now you're cooking, so you've got a big vat of, so you got a kettle like this.
Yes.
All right, your fires are down here. Maybe 2 burners.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Or 8, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Whatever we had to heat it so that you could get the flame up. But we could control our heat after it came to a boil.
Okay.
What you're thinking of, how does that come out of it into the coil?
Yes. All right. How does it go?
Okay, it goes up to the gas, right?
It comes up as a steam,
All right.
up in the boiler part.
All right. So you're up in this area right here.
Yes.
So you got the mash in the bottom here.
But the mash is in that big tank,
Yeah.
that 250 gallon tank. Then there was a hood
All
that
right.
was built up here to just kind of give space for the mash. The heat would get up and it form up there. There would be a steam light.
Okay. The steam is what you needed more room
Yes,
for. Okay.
the steam is what we needed room for. I think we probably about that much in the boiler, and then we had a top on it that came up to a point like that. What's the name of Captain there tonight at the Oasis? The computer finally released it.
All right. He's got to spit it out. Okay. So the gas gets up in here, and you have a coil that starts here then?
I would say the steam
Okay.
would get up in there, and then it would form into this funnel like on top of the boiler.
Okay, like this? Kind of funnel like here?
Yes, same. Yeah.
Okay. Then what would happen?
Then steam would force all the way down through them coils through the water, and this
the coils are like this going down? Is that?
Down into that barrel.
The barrel would be right here then, so,
Yes.
maybe a little, okay.
Yes,
All right, now the coils go down into that.
yes.
Now that's when that gets down here, that's giving you pure alcohol, or that the whatever.
Whatever strength it
Whatever.
would produce.
All right, now where's the water being used?
The water's being used around these coils.
Just to keep the coils
All right, so
at the temperature.
all right, so you've got a coil that's taking the
The steam out of the cooker.
yeah. Then you've got another coil around the coil that's
No.
cooling. Okay.
No, this coil here was made to fit into this big tank alongside
Of
here.
water. That's what kept it 60
Oh,
degrees.
so there's a tank of water
Yes,
right here,
yes,
and that's why you would pump water.
yes.
That's why you would pump water. You pump water into here.
Yes.
Would it come into the top then?
The
water.
The water would come up the top. We had a overrun in the tank, and that would run out wherever we wanted to put it.
Okay. Then you'd run out here, or
It could run into a cesspool. We generally dug a cesspool, and after we got the water in the village here, we could run it down the
sewer. Yeah, so you sewer for that. All right. So then obviously the barrel was snug. The top on this barrel was snug, so no water would leak in there.
That didn't make any difference. You had to have this one here tight.
Yes.
That one there, the cooker tight, so that there was no steam that would escape from there.
Okay.
Barrel
And all of
actually
that
got in the
steam,
water.
Yeah.
all of that steam went down, followed this coil into that. Well, we had a catcher down there.
Okay.
That's what we called it, a catcher.
All right, catcher.
And the catcher probably was 45, 50 gallons. That would be copper too. Well, all of this stuff had to be copper.
Now, this cooker, where the mash is, the top of the cooker itself would come to a point, right?
That's right.
So the steam would go up this funnel into the copper,
Yes.
meet the coils,
Yes.
through the water, then it would condense back into a liquid form, and there you'd have your booze.
That's right.
Okay.
And the water.
Same principle.
So the water that was cooling the
Cooling the coils,
yes. Now that was pumped. That's what you need the pumper for.
that would have to be pumped.
Yeah.
We didn't, at that time, we used a little 1.5-horse engine and let it just run all night long until we got wise and we'd get a big horse tank. If we had the place to put a big horse tank, that would have that supply of cold water.
Well, then you just pump it into the horse tank, and the coils would go to the horse tank. Is that right?
That's,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So actually, the coils that are going down like this, the water would just have to be poured over the coils.
They'd be submerged in the water.
Water.
Submerged.
They were submerged. They were in the, if I could just, a glass. You'd take a glass and you'd start a little coil, and run it around until you run it out the bottom.
Okay.
Then when it went out the bottom, that was soldered in there tight, so no water could leak
Yeah.
out.
Okay. That's what. All right.
And then at the end of the coil, that would run out there in a liquid form.
The booze now.
Yes.
Okay. So the water could just spill off anyway. Anyway, so because this barrel was tight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How long did it take you to boil, say, up to 20 minutes? You started.
Well, six barrels like we used to do it was a good.
So an hour a barrel.
Well,
Yeah. Well, actually, you're doing 250 gallons, so you're almost doing 6 barrels at one time here
yes.
anyway.
Yes.
So just for all that to cook through,
Yes.
how did you know when you were done?
Well, we had.
Silly question.
No.
I should go and get one of them, but I don't know if I would find it. I had a brother-in-law that was involved in this thing, and he said, "Have you got it?" I think they used to call them hydrometers. They were just like a hydrometer you'd put in the radiator of your car to test your
Oh, sure.
Buoyancy and see if it was,
see if it was strong enough to hold up for
I
the
remember that.
And that's what we had. We had them sitting in there. They were floating around in the tank there
I remember
all
that.
over.
Yeah.
And after if it sank or what would it, so it start to sink?
It would start to sink.
If it was when the good stuff was gone.
No, wait a minute.
mostly during Prohibition, or did you do some after Prohibition?
No, we quit right by it because Ben was the type of a fellow that didn't. I finally got to work for Ben all alone. We
That's right.
used to last only a month when we had these helpers.
That's right, they were coming up on you.
And after I got to working with him 18 months or a year and a half or so into these places, could work there.
Did, so you started about 28, then you figure 29, you worked as a farmhand.
29, I think it was.
Did, I had another question. Yeah, now, you say you worked for Ben. Now, did Ben, we won't use his name, but,
You won't care.
He won't care.
Okay.
We've got him in the ground up there.
Okay. You worked, I'll just say it for somebody called Ben. When you worked for Ben, did he take charge of bootlegging the whiskey? If that is, when I mean by the bootlegging,
Yes.
by,
He took care of his own customers. The customers would come to him and well, he'd find them somewhere or other. I don't know what their way was of finding it, but they'd come in and probably to Archie's place and park their car. And Ben was probably around there. Ben always was a watchman. And so he was around when they come in. If they wanted 50 gallons or 60 or 100, they'd get it. I don't know if he would fill the car or if he had some of the boys. Ben wasn't too much of a guy to do too much work, but he'd be around enough to let you know that he was the one that would take care of it.
the customer.
Yes.
All right. So now, how did the booze get from your still, or from the still that you worked? I assume that Ben.
To your storage.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Well, we always had a place where we kept it. It would be the fellow that cooked the liquor out. He would load it up and then bring it back to wherever the storage place was.
Okay, so you ran the booze that far to storage?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when it got to storage, that's when Ben went into the picture because he was able to take care of customers, is that right?
Yes.
All right, so they'd come to him and he'd say, I've got, some customers say, I want, say, 50 gallons of booze.
Can you furnish me? Can you furnish me with so many gallons?
Then he would take them out to storage, or he would...
No.
Oh, okay.
He would take their car.
All right.
He would take their car, and because nobody goes to where the storage place was.
All right, sure.
And there was too many of them places that were lost.
Okay.
He came out here with 4 cars one night from the city. One time to Alex Rebor. Remember?
Yep.
Old Alex? I just seen one of the girls or sisters at Starbury at the
Oxcart days?
Oxcart days. And she said, hello, Harry. And I looked at her. They were sitting eating at a table. And they were sitting with Eldora and Orville and another couple. And you know, I didn't know her, but I could see the rebirth there, the Alex Rebirth, them rebirths, the old. Years ago, you know, when you would see these kids in church or at a gathering, you could tell them who they belonged to.
Yeah.
Well,
You could.
well, we have Rivards in Taylor's Falls, where I'm from. I can always tell Rivards.
Yes.
And they can always tell the Mobergs. They're very French, we're very Scandinavian.
That didn't seem to make any difference. Them Rivards come into the picture here too. Art Rivard.
Yeah.
Remember the father of the boys that are in the station up there now?
Up in this.
One of
Falls.
them.
Oh, A.J. We call him A.J. Rivard. Sure.
Yeah.
One is the...
I know all his grandchildren. But no, wait a minute, are they great-grandchildren? Grandchildren, yeah. Those are all the ones I grew up with.
I was up deer hunting one time, and here's an old fella up there, and I know he's around 90 years old. So in the woods over there, I stopped and talked to him, found out who was here was Art's dad.
line up there.
You don't have to show him to me because he was down here a lot.
It's not a real clear picture. It's a younger man there.
But you can tell art any place. Really.
Yeah, he looked just like Kenny Rivard does now. That's art there. So the light isn't real good.
That ain't about 1934, is it?
It should be about 34.
But you know, we were hunting up in the woods up there, and we had taken along. You could still get booze in 34. I remember this because I had a Plymouth, 1934 Plymouth. So I was going with Gus Bile, Gib Dibdall, and and Leonard Nelson. And I had my 34 Plymouth at that time. Well, the day we went up on Moose Road. You know where Moose Road is? Off on 35, well, they call it M. At that time they would call it Moose Road. That ran from 35 over to Minong, I think it was Minong, or one of them towns over across on 53. Well, anyway, we ran into them over there. So we had a tent, I think it was 6 by 10. And after we got in, we went in on the road and it was frozen over. So we went in there like nobody's business. Well, during the season, it thawed out. The road did. Well, you could no more go over that road than anything. But there happened to be 8 fellas from Chautauqua that came in there with a Studebaker truck. Now that you never seen a Studebaker truck, did you?
No.
But they came in there and they had one older fellow with 7 young guys. And boy, them guys could hunt. So we were worried about getting out. So we got started out of the place where we was on this, I forget the name of the creek that was Rock Creek, or that was way in the back and about 4 miles back. Right near I think the Minnesota and Wisconsin border on the west side of 35. So we got stuck with our trailer and with our 34 Plymouth. My 34 Plymouth was pretty new at that time. So they caught up with us, the Chautauqua bunch. Now the old man was a good organizer. Now he said to me, he said, Harry, he said, you drive that car. And you just drive that car just fast enough so that we can keep up with you when you get into a tough spot. Well, it was corrugated with logs about that big. Some of them were broken, and some of them were okay. But we did it, all of a sudden we get a flat tire.
No.
So he said again, we're going to loosen the nuts on the wheel. Just loosen them so we can get them off fast. The rest of us will hold the car up while you change the tire. And we did that. Good. So we got out real good. Well, when we got out to the 35, we got out about noon, I suppose, and the lady that was running the place, she made sandwiches there. So we suggested that the 4 of us pay, if we had the money, to pay for that lunch. You have to hear most anything around there.
Come up from the river, I suppose.
Well, I don't think so. They're generally done by this time. It might be some of the other ones around here. We got lots of young kids. Well, we got in there, and anyway, we fed them all, and then the 4 of us proceeded on for home. We got down to the, I think it was Siren or Webster, and there was a place called, I thought the Turks.
Yeah, Turks Inn.
Turks
Now
in.
that you're thinking of Hayward.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Hayward.
where-
That's Hayward. But there was another one right on the highway. Well, the Turks was on the highway. We used to go there
That's just north of Hayward, yeah.
north of Hayward.
You're right, north of Hayward on the way to Cable, right?
We used to go there quite a bit. Grace and I used to go every summer. We made friends with a couple. Their names is the same as Towsley's was their name. And we used to go there quite a bit because we had gone to Hayward for 22 years. And the Towsleys were really good to us. Honest, we could rent the cottage for $10 a day. Well, where could you find a place like that?
Yeah.
Well, Grace and Madge used to have the same kind of ideas together. She worked in a hospital up there besides taking care of their resort. And they would, well, they just enjoyed one another. They were just like sisters to do these things, you know. And so we got our, well, I think we'd stay there for 10 days, and $90 would be our cost there to stay there. What's up? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just, I didn't want to interrupt your
Well, I was just saying that they got along so well together that we get our cottage so cheap, and they were really good to us. They liked us, and we liked them. Well, we built a friendship there. Well, then Housley himself finally died. Then Madge decided that Bob was his name. She decided that she was going to run it herself, but then she found out that it was too much, that there was men work, there was plumbing to do, there was fencing to do, there was the dogs to build and fix up. So she finally sold it to someone from Chicago. So when we came back there the next year to rent the cottage, what do you think the fee was then?
Probably not $10.
That's for sure it wasn't. It was $25.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God. But I'm not gonna hurt Madge by telling what it cost us. I said, oh my God, that's more than we care to pay. Well, that isn't much. I said, maybe for you people it isn't, but we never went back there, and I don't know what they did with the place. Madge built herself a couple of homes, so she had some renters there with them, nice little homes, just down the road about, I suppose a quarter of a mile, something like that. And she's renting them. She's still alive up there. Yeah.
What are you going to ask?
Oh, I was going to ask, when you made booze or when you had the still cooking, were you always cooking at night?
Yes, I did.
Reggie gave me those years ago.
I did. Because I wanted to be watching all the time.
Put them back on the...
Easier to see him come up if you were at night.
Well, hear 'em, or them days I had good ears.
Okay. When you talked about gasoline burners for the cookers, was that just regular gasoline like
It was automobile gas.
And do you want me to use your name or will you soon not? It's up to you.
I think it would be better if you wouldn't, because I've been a police officer around here, and I'm still getting some of this chaff.
Okay, we won't make your...
But
Yeah, but
you can find a name that you can get in there that it work just somewhat.
we'll use pseudonym or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, oh, sure. Do you know if any of the federal agents are still alive that worked?
No, I don't. I don't know. I've never heard of the federal agents after the state and the federal took over. They said that they were federals. I often wondered if they were something like we were when we were police officers for the county here. When working for the county, I was a traffic officer here. See now, don't get that mixed in there. They'll all read me out.
No, this is getting,
But anyway, with the police officers in the county's highway department, it was the highway department that took over the law enforcement. And they would say to you, now we don't know nothing about this law enforcement, so you handle this the best way you can. That was your first county police officers. In the beginning here, there was only one traffic officer in the county, a fellow by the name of Walter Schrank.
Yes. Good friend of my father's.
Yeah? Oh, he was a friend. Well, he trucked before he got...
See, my dad at the store, see, he used to come always to the store in Bass Lake, and Walter Schrank.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that your dad had the store out there.
Yeah.
Oh, Walter was a regular guy, you know, and he could drink booze.
Yeah.
If you went into the bar and say, pour me a drink, he wanted two. And if a guy gave him just one, boy, you ain't been around here very long, he'd say. Because he wanted 2 shots. But I think Walt died kind of...
Yeah, I remember he used to come and visit us at home. He was sheriff for quite a while.
He was sheriff for 2 terms. Let me see, and then he became the first county traffic officer.
Yeah.
Jim Frawley and him was friends. Jim, that was a chairman of St. Joe for over 50 years.
Yeah.
They were good friends, and that Walter was strong. One time we was going into South St. Paul, and before they would get into St. Paul down in the city, they had to go on what we call Robert Street. And when the gates came open, and a 400-pound hog fell out the back end of the truck. So one of the cops went and got him. Said, hey, one of your hogs fell out of the truck. So they went up there and rounded up the hog. He picked that hog up and put it up in the back end of the truck.
I was going to ask you if you get back to this again, to the moonshining here, to the booze. When the sugar came into town, say by truck or even by train load, was that brought in by, say, Ben?
No, that was brought in. There would be a fella that wholesaled it or retailed it. Either way, whatever way they would do it.
And they would wholesale directly to you then?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We had a connection. We had this man, Ali Parnell, that was trucking cattle and hogs over to South St. Paul. Then when he'd come back, he was ordered to bring back 2 or 3 or 4 tons, whatever. Sometimes you would start, when you got into a good place that you were pretty sure you could stay in there for some time, you'd load up several trucks and haul it right out to the place. And then we had chutes from the haymow down to the first floor, just slide her down the...
Was it in bags or sugar? Bags.
In what do you call that brown bag? Burlap. Burlap.
Okay, so you just dump it off on the hay lofts, level of the barn, and then just shoot it. And it just...
Down.
Yeah. And who paid for that sugar?
Ben would pay. Well, the trucker would pay for it because he had to get it out of the place. Most all of the Jews were in that business, so that's where they were getting it, and they would make deals with them.
Now, the trucker, then he would sell it probably, he'd bring it out to your still.
He'd bring it, no, he wouldn't come to the still.
Okay.
He wouldn't come to the still. He didn't want nothing with it. I'd have to go and get the truck and meet him on the road somewhere. and then I would take the truck and unload it, and I'd bring it back home.
Okay, after you brought it home, you'd unload it, obviously, and bring the truck back to him. Did Ben buy the sugar then as a...
Yes.
Okay.
He paid Allie
Oh,
for whatever Allie charged to
Truck it.
truck it out.
Then, how were you paid?
How would I pay?
How were you paid?
How did you get
Oh,
paid?
how would I pay?
You and like my father and so on.
25 cents a gallon.
Okay, and were you paid by Ben?
Yes.
I'm not going to call him Ben, I'll just say by the contact person, or the person. He was in charge of the whole network then.
He was in charge of, no, his own.
Yeah, his own network.
His own network.
Yeah, he got his sugar, he got the people like you to work for it, then to make the moonshine or the booze, he'd have a place to store it, he'd bring over to the storage place, then from there he would just watch for people to be in Somerset,
That's right.
and they'd probably get to know him after a while, then
Oh, yes.
they'd come up and say, I want 50 gallons, usually sold in 5-gallon jugs.
Yeah.
So he'd take their car out,
And load it.
load it, and then bring it back.
Yes.
Then they go to the cities.
Yeah.
Now would that be the bootlegger that was actually running to the cities?
That's right.
Okay. Now, after you got the booze into the copper kettle after it was distilled, then did you pour it into
Into 5-gallon.
5-gallon jugs? Okay.
Had a gallon can here and a funnel.
Tell me this, Harry. When I was real young, they used to have barrels, wooden barrels, full of mold, aging.
Yes.
No.
You could buy them. Do you want to finish asking the question?
No, but you would take this raw moon and you'd put it in wooden barrels.
Yes.
Okay, all right. What barrels first then?
You wouldn't sell it raw, would you? You'd always have to age it first.
Oh, you could sell.
You could sell it raw.
You could sell it clear.
Clear, I mean.
Yes.
So that's where you can put it with a
Funnel
in the gallon.
into the jugs.
Yeah,
And there was always 5-gallon jugs.
That'd be the clear raw moonshine
Yes.
without aging.
Yes. But then later on, they were requiring aged moon.
Aged moon, was it better? Was it a better flavor?
Oh, you bet. Well, the first, what do I want to call it? The first action, not action, the first time you would fill that barrel, that was charred inside. That barrel was charred. So the first chart, if you had a good oak barrel, you would get a real good age on it. Just depending on how. We used to take a electric heater and stick right into the barrel. And you're thinking that why did this thing blow up? But the charge was set so low on it that it would do no damage. But then the second age that you'd put on it would be chips in a box. You get chips in a box like you do soap chips and that sort of thing. And you'd pour that right into the barrel and then heat your booze back up again.
Well, these chips would be like oak chips or something?
Yes, they were oak chips.
I had another question there, because it would get off on this one. Oh, yeah, you mentioned at the beginning something about the economics of the time that almost made it necessary for some people to
be in that business.
yeah, now you hinted at it or said it right out loud. Yeah, was that quite prevalent?
All over.
You mean by all over, I mean in this area?
All over. Well, I think all over because the times were hard then at that time. We used to say this way here, if it wasn't for us people being in this business, and in this business, we'd have never survived. I don't know how. There wasn't really any work around at that time. And you know the salaries, the wages at that time, if about $45 or $50 a month, that would be it.
What do you think you made a month?
And you wouldn't probably go to work then for 2 or 3 months.
Okay, so it'd be an economic hardship if they knocked off your still.
Yes,
If you made 90 gallons a night,
25 cents a gallon.
probably making almost
One
$25.
fourth of 90, so,
What, $22?
yeah.
$22 a night
Well,
would be good.
that was big pay. You couldn't get a job like that. Herman, when he had it, he was getting 50 cents a gallon.
Herman
Below.
below.
Yeah. Then he divided with me. He gave me, I think it was 20 cents a gallon, and he took the balance. He was having a good time at my expense.
Yeah.
But I was glad to have the job. I was young then at that time, and nothing bothered me very much.
So actually the prevalence of the moonshining here would be somewhat economic.
Yes.
And plus you were close to a good market in the Twin
Oh,
City
it's
area.
the best market in the world. They were making, at this same time, they were making this booze in Stearns County, up at St. Cloud. And boy, they had business up there. I think they were in it much bigger than the Twin Cities were here. They used to call it the Minnesota 13. 13 was the number of corn, I guess, that they were putting in there. But they only used that corn for a flavor. It only, when you emptied your mash out, your barrel out, the barrel was washed out and started all over new.
Great.
Well, I learned a lot myself.
Yeah.
I was so young that I never learned the ins and outs of it.
There's fellas around you that have made it, but they wouldn't come out and say anything about it. I don't care much anymore. I mean, if I was found out about this sort of thing, the best they could do is throw me in jail.
Oh, I think it's well. We're into it here. We're talking folklore at this point.
Well,
from this perspective, 60 years later.
I figure that. That's the way I feel about it. I have come out a little more with it. I never said nothing for many years. Of course, I became a honest-to-God police officer. But you know, when I talk to guys like that, they say, well, was you always honest? Well, I was honest in what I was doing.
I talk to people today, and a lot of people will talk, about, moonshine, and the minute I talk about it, they clear away from it. Just like I'm supposed to be ashamed.
Yeah.
Everybody did it.
Yeah.
Everybody did it. It was a part of our lives.
Yeah. There was one day, this is one thing that I should talk about, it was her dad. Her dad was always down around town here. He was a great man, and he was something different. Well, anyway, I should tell some other things on her. Anyway, a fella came into town, and they were standing right in front of Archie's place. Archie's is still there. And so this fellow said to him, he said, if I wanted to get some booze in this town, could I get it? Well, he said, I guess so. I guess I'd be no trouble. Well, they were standing where they could see the priest's house up here. And he had a green roof on it. And so he pointed up there to that house. He said, you see that house up there with the green roof on it? He said, that would be the only place I know of that has nothing to do with booze.
Great. Oh,
there's a lot of things that I should have probably wrote, but I was never no writer. I didn't have that much education. I got into first year of high school, and that's as far as I got. I left home because, well, Dad wasn't all that good a provider, and I couldn't get along with him. That was the worst thing. I just couldn't. He was a man that acted much like I do, and I suppose that's where I got it. When something came up wrong, you know, I kind of blow up. And you know, that's a bad thing. You know, being a police officer, I blew up many times, which wasn't good for me. And then I believed in my work, and I believed in doing my work like the book said. I went by the book, maybe not always, because I had one fellow here, Johnny Lesky, in town, and Johnny and I became friends. So Johnny was born the year I came here in the same month, on the first or second of, I think it's near the Groundhog's Day.
February?
In February. And Johnny and I became friends. So
He was my friend too.
yeah, Johnny was a good fellow. And he's got a wife that's got him beat all to the neck and specs.
Yeah.
She's just a peach of a person. I would get on that telephone and we'll talk. They give us the Oak County Ledger, and she delivers that every Sunday morning.
Does she really?
Yeah.